Hi, I'm John Messer, the Leadership Development and Systems Catalyst for Luminex. And today I'd like to talk to you about something that we're all in right now, and that is a liminal season. Liminality you may be familiar with. Other people talk about it as a period of orientation, painful disorientation, and reorientation. Well, the painful disorientation is the liminal season. The difference between liminality or a liminal season and a transition season is very important. This isn't really a transition season because in a transition you know where you're coming from and you have an idea of where you're going to. In liminality, you don't know where you're going. You don't know what the new is going to be. And so there's a lot more anxiety and a lot more unknown in liminal season than in a typical transition. And that's the important thing that we're going to talk about today, because how do you lead through a liminal season? Well, let's talk a little bit about what that means. And let me just define a liminal season in my words as liminal means new but not yet. It's very similar to Christians because the kingdom of God is a time of liminality. The kingdom has been ushered in by Jesus Christ, but it's not completed. It's not fulfilled yet. We're in that season in between. That's a liminal season. The Israelites wandered the desert for 40 years because they refused to go in to the promised land. God made them wander for 40 years before they got to the promised land again. That's a liminal season. Liminality is a painful time, but it's really important for us to understand because when Christians are talking about where we are now because of COVID-19, because of our cultural change, it's really important that we think about the fact that the institutional church really is losing its efficiency, its effectiveness, and its membership because the people are experiencing too great a distance between the old structures of the church and their new experience, their richer understanding of God. I really believe that that's what we're facing in this liminal season. It isn't just that things got thrown at us. It's that we are experiencing the pain of our structures and our traditions and all the things the way we have done them in the past being insufficient for our new understanding, our richer, deeper understanding of God. And I believe that this season, in a sense, is the call to do something to make the church more efficient, more effective, better able to draw the community and draw people into the kingdom of God. So the problem is, of course, that the new thing is not yet apparent. We know that things are changing, but we don't know what that means. And so we've gone from the familiar, we've gone from what is customary, what is comfortable, and we have moved into very, very clearly a time where it's painful and it's uncomfortable. There's a lot of anxiety because there's a lot of unknowns, and we have to lead through this. The problem with leaders in seasons like this is that you can overplan, but you don't really know what you're planning for. It may please some people, but it's essentially ineffective. We can pretend that we have an idea of what's coming, but we're guessing. So how do we engage a liminal season in a real and vital way? Well, how we do that is by challenging people to lean into the newness. We challenge them to do several things, which include asking good questions, which include allowing ourselves to think about new ways and to become learning organizations, which we're going to talk about in future videos. But liminality actually has some strengths to it. There are good things about a liminal season. And number one is it gives us an opportunity to see how the old structures are not sufficient for the new requirements. It helps us see how our traditions have perhaps pulled us into a path that isn't being helpful for our church. A lot of people resist the newness and the unknown of liminality because when there is an ending of something, there is always grief. So when the familiar, the customary, and the comfortable go away, there's always grief. And that painful emotional time requires a lot of attention. And so leaders in your churches, it's really important to address the emotions of a liminal season, to allow people to grieve before they can move on. I did a video a while back on the change roller coaster, and it was very apparent that it's necessary for leaders to lead people to address their emotions, to address the grief and the pain and the loss before we can move on to something new. And perhaps that's the number one task in a liminal season. Help people grieve, help them let go of what was, so they'll be ready to grab hold of what's new. People resist it for a lot of reasons. The inherent not yet of a liminal season means that we don't have control over what's coming. And people don't like to feel like they have no control. So what can we do? Well, first of all, we can get people to talk about it. Help them express what's happening in the liminal period. The biggest thing that's an advantage in a liminal season is that we automatically know that we have to do something, but we don't know what that's going to be. So it prepares people to consider possibilities. It prepares people to answer tough questions. The disorientation of the liminal season can be a great opportunity for leaders who are not afraid to lead from the old to the new. And the reorientation, within the reorientation period, that reforming period will be much better if we make the best use of a liminal period. So the new but not yet isn't fun any more than it was fun for the Israelites when they were wandering in the desert, any more than it's fun for us when we don't know what's coming right now. But it is full of opportunity. It can be full of hope. It can be full of potential if we will simply do some things, asking questions, facing the hard realities, considering that traditionalism and institutionalism have come to their limit, have come to their end, and being willing to embrace what God has that's new for us. So I encourage you to listen to future issues where we're talking about the power of questioning, where we're talking about church as a learning organization, because all of these go together, and we'll give you more tips on how to deal with liminal seasons in those videos. So thanks. I'll see you later.